Once you are self-aware, you must make a change.
Welcome to the Millionaire Woman Show, where we'll be discussing leadership, business, human potential, inspiring you to live rich from the inside out. Unlock your creativity, stretch out of your comfort zone, break through your barriers, take inspired action, and achieve epic results. Now here's your host, 3-time best-selling author, speaker, and certified executive coach, Debra Kasowski.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Millionaire Woman Show, where we talk about principles of life, leadership, and business, helping you live rich from the inside out. Today, I have a special guest all the way from Germany, and she inspires, motivates, and will be educating you on love and relationships, as well as a diva mindset. Sami Wunder is a leading international relationship and dating expert who specializes in working with ambitious, high-achieving women, helping them attract lasting romantic love. As a CEO of a thriving 7-figure business, Sami currently serves a highly engaged global clientele of over 55K of followers across 30 countries. Her clients range from Hollywood celebrity to UK TV stars to CEOs, bankers, lawyers, and doctors, renowned authors, and leading entrepreneurs, and more. To date, Sami Wunder's company has served over 2,800 premium clients and recorded over 129 client engagements and more than 100 committed relationships in the past 3 years. She's a leading authority when it comes to dating and relationship, and is a sought-after expert in the media, appearing regular in Business Insider, Forbes, Time Magazine's Glamour, the Daily Mail, the Metro, Cosmopolitan, and much more. She has also been invited often to BBC Radio, Channel 5's TV show, and The Right Stuff. Please welcome Sami Wunder to the show.
Thank you, Deborah. That was a very, very nice and kind introduction.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know that, I love that we can reach across time zones and use technology to connect with people and get such rich information. And it also reaffirms that, that the same practices go around all around the world versus, this is a Canadian thing where I'm at, and, where you are in Germany, that maybe it's a German thing. So, and there's so much commonality, yet there still could be some intricate differences that we can learn as we travel and maybe date when traveling. So I'm really excited to jump in about talking about love and relationships. And one of the things that struck me when I was going and reviewing your website and getting to know a little bit about you is you really want to empower women. And I know we have men listening as well. So think about how you can even empower your women in your life to know their self-worth and have that diva mindset. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the word diva is often misunderstood. It's misunderstood for that woman who is all about herself. She's selfish and she's slightly bitchy. And this is the stereotype I desire to break when I work with my clients. So when we say you want to embrace the diva mindset and you want to become a diva in your love life, what we really mean is that you want to be that woman who is soft and inviting and kind on the outside, and that woman who has strong, solid boundaries on the inside. So a lot of the times, the divas are the women who are strong on the outside, strong on the inside, and that makes it very hard for our men to find that space of commonality with us, to approach us, to pour love on us, because that disproportionate amount of strength on the outside can often push a man away, because he doesn't know whether he's needed in the relationship or he's not needed. Can he do anything to make you happy or not? And so with my clients, we turn this around and we say your strength should not show up as walls in dating. Mm-hmm. Your strength and your independence should not show up as a guard that you have on in dating, but it should show up as softness on the outside and strength and boundaries on the inside, because boundaries are not walls. And a lot of the times when we are taking care of ourselves, we are independent, we make good money, we drive our own cars, we own our own houses. A lot of the times that independence and that strength is very in your face, and it's very hard for men to break through that. And so we want to make it easier for our guys to please us, to make us happy, to see us happy. And the way I do it is by teaching women how a true diva, not a fake diva, a true diva is one who is inviting, kind, soft on the outside, and who has solid steel-like boundaries on the inside, so she can indeed say no. She's never finding herself in a doormatty position when it comes to men. She's never the needy girl. She does need a man in her life, or let's say she does desire a man in her life. She wants a man in her life, but she doesn't need a man, right? But all of that is on the inside. It's not what she's projecting on the outside. On the outside, she's warm, she's desirable, she's in her feminine energy, as I like to call it.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things strike me is what is it, like when we talk about those walls, that men are intimidated by that empowered woman? Like what wall are they putting up, projecting, that the man is either feeling like he's got no chance, or they're just totally intimidated about taking the chance to go ask her out on a date or tell her that he's interested?
That's a great question. So I think a lot of high achieving women, so most of my clientele comes to me with this belief that they are intimidating to men. Mm-hmm. And when I ask them, what do you think is so intimidating about you? They tell me, it's my success. It's that I can look after myself. And the funny thing is, I had a very similar attitude towards men when I was single, before I started doing this work and then dumped my career as an economist to become a love coach. I had the same attitude. And here's what I found in all the work that I did in my own personal life, attracted my husband, and now I have helped over, updated numbers are 175 of my clients are now happily engaged in the last 4 years. So we know what I'm teaching is really working for the people I'm serving. Mm-hmm. What I have found is that healthy men, there's all kinds of men in the world, right? But I'm talking about the healthy guy who is secure in who he is, right? That healthy man doesn't care about your achievements. He doesn't care. Now, it might really hurt your ego at first because you've worked so hard to be who you want to be in life and to get all your achievements and get all your promotions. But here's the thing, in love and romance, a healthy man doesn't choose you because you make a lot of money, doesn't choose you because you're really successful, doesn't choose you because you can speak 5 languages, doesn't choose you because you've traveled all over the world and held so many conferences and you're a TEDx speaker and you've been on so many stages, or you run a 7-figure company. He doesn't choose you because of those things. He chooses you for your heart essence. He chooses you for the person that you are. So this is a hard fact for a lot of successful women to digest, because we lead with our achievements, we lead with our success. And then when you say, Sami, what are those walls? I think that wall is primarily that woman is identifying herself with her success, right? And then when they come to us, we slowly start to disassociate them from their success, and we say, who are you without your success? Because that's what a man will fall in love with. He will not fall in love with all you have achieved. He's going to fall in love with your giggles, what makes you laugh, what makes you start crying in a movie, or how you love that particular flavor of ice cream. He's going to fall in love with your heart essence. He's not going to fall in love with all you can do and all you can achieve. And so for my smart and successful clients, our biggest work is to first start disassociating our identity with our achievements and start finding ourselves for who we truly are, even if we were to not make a single penny, right? And that's what men fall in love with, our essence. So just to give a quick example from my own life, my husband, when I married him, I wasn't a seven-figure CEO, and he didn't care. He was providing for the first 2 years of the marriage while I was still finishing my master's, doing my consultancy contracts. And then today I out earn him by God knows what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's never mattered between us because money and success was never the foundation and never the basis of what we share, right? We love each other. We love each other for the human beings that we are, for the persons that we are. And I know that tomorrow, if anything were to happen to my company, this man is who I can 100% rely on, right? And so it's not about what someone makes or what someone achieves. It's so much about the heart connection. And that is what romantic love is about. That is where we want to put our focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing when I'm thinking about that is that ego part. When we really focus on our achievements, we're focused really on, well, do you see me? Do you see how much I've climbed? Why aren't you climbing? You know, and they might be using a measuring stick against the man as well, if that's their achievement, versus looking for those same things that we see the guys falling in love with, those giggles or that laughter, or, you know, how excited they get when they're eating a new meal or anything like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're talking about is judgment of yourself and of your partner. So if you have a really hard measuring yard for yourself, you're gonna mirror that energy onto your partner. Now, this is not to say that just go marry anyone and, you know, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have a job. He's homeless. He's gonna rely on you. This is not what we're saying, right? But what we're saying is, for example, my clients, what is their dilemma? They often find themselves out earning the guys, and they don't like it. And so I have to go with them through that questioning process of, what do you not like about it? And they say, I don't want to be the main provider. And I'm like, what makes you think that because he makes less than you, you have to be the main provider? Where is that thought coming from?
Yes.
Yeah, because even now, even though I way out earn my husband, he's still an equal partner within the money contribution in the economy. I would say he runs the house and pays for things way more than I do. What I often sponsor is our luxuries or lifestyle, because that is not something his salary would be able to support, like flying business class or staying in a butler suite in the Bahamas. And that's okay, right? Like, that's also why I work so hard to make the money I make. But I think we should not associate a man who makes less than us or slightly less than us as not being a valuable or worthy partner, because a valuable and worthy partner is the one who looks after you when you're sick, is there for you when you're alone and crying and feeling like a big mess. And a slight difference in salaries should not be defining somebody's worth. As long as they are self-sufficient, as long as they're not relying on you to provide for them, I think many healthy relationships can still flourish, even with the woman way out earning the guy.
Yeah. And I think it has to do with how secure the man is that you're with, right? Because when you start out earning, they might have some insecurities that start to show up. There could be jealousy as well. So what do you tell women when the person they're dating or their partner starts feeling insecure and not feeling needed anymore?
Yeah, I think there's two levels of this. One is the pure financial level, which is, oh my God, she makes more than me, so I'm not valuable. Okay, that is an insecurity that a man needs to work through himself. And in that case, I would just tell the woman not to engage with this. I would tell her to say to him, honey, I'm sorry you feel this way. I don't think this way. I don't think you're any less worthy or you're any less amazing as you used to be just because now I start to out earn you. But if this really lasts inside of you, then I would recommend that you go speak with a coach or speak with someone who can help you out of this. Because I tell my clients not to coach their own husbands or boyfriends, because it
Yeah,
never ends well.
that
It
is a
never
problem.
ends well. It never ends well. Good luck. You probably tried 5 times, then you come back to me saying, yes, it did not work. So it never works. The second thing is not feeling needed in the relationship. I think that is something that is a negative, that is a side effect of women becoming more empowered and more self-sufficient.
Mhm.
And then it's about understanding that, understanding that the opposite sex has certain needs in the relationship, and it's not about what you can do for the guy, it's about what the guy can do for you. That's what he's going for, right? So the man, it is essential for a masculine energy partner in the relationship to feel needed, right? So it doesn't have to be big things. I mean, I can sponsor most things myself. I don't need my husband to buy me anything, right? But it's about letting him bring you a tea, saying yes to that. It's about letting him cook you a meal, saying yes to that. So I can still remember a client who said, whenever my boyfriend used to come, he used to say, let's cook, because she was out earning him. She was a vice president of a big company, and she was out earning him. And he would say, let's cook, because he wasn't making as much as she was, and he didn't want to go every night out to eat outside. And she was like, oh, let's go to the restaurant, I'll pay. And slowly the relationship started to collapse. And when she came to me, she said she was acting out of goodwill. She thought it makes her life easy, his life easy. They don't have to cook. But slowly, it started to bring in that feeling inside of him that, she wants to go to a restaurant every single night, and I can't afford to give her this, right? So he started to feel emasculated. Whereas what I recommended, or I would recommend to a woman in this case, is to really understand how men think, and that they really take a lot of pride in being the provider. They really take a lot of pride in being able to make you happy. And so let those opportunities stay with him. Even though you make more money, you don't have to equate everything with, I can pay this, I can pay this, I can pay this. Even though you're coming from a good place, I think it's really important for your partner's self-respect that he's also able to contribute. He's also able to create experiences within the relationship that may not have anything to do with money, but are still valuable experiences. And in that, he feels needed. Yeah.
But isn't that truly what it's all about? It's really about being able to share experiences when it comes down to it, that you can have that connection, that conversation, and that chemistry. Those 3 things to me really stand out when it comes to long-lasting relationships or igniting the spark per se.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's going to be in the awareness of someone who is in their feminine energy and more present. But a lot of our clients are high achieving, successful. They want to move from one thing to the next. So they don't think in terms of conversation, presence, be in the moment, relax, let it go. They think in the moment. They think in terms of what is most efficient. Most efficient is to get out to the restaurant, pay, get the thing done.
Yeah,
And
it's like running a business.
Yeah, exactly. Like running the relationship is like running a business in their minds, only that it's not at all.
Mm-hmm. That's a big shift for people to understand that it's not like running a business, not like working in the organization, that you need to really shift gears and think differently.
Absolutely.
Creating that flow per se, right?
Yeah. And I think within a romantic relationship, a lot of high achieving women would need to step back in their feminine, because at work we're a lot in our masculine, and I am a big lover of masculine energy. I could not have created a 7-figure company serving so many thousands of women across the globe while just leaning back and relaxing in the sun. So it took work and it took action. And at the same time, when I'm with my husband in the evening, sometimes he'll tell me, okay, can you now just shut the CEO off? Because I'm still in that directional mode and managing mode and problem solving mode. And then I have to go remember my own work,
Yes.
And I have to let him be that masculine energy partner who can lead, who can give, who wants to please me. And I think men who attract strong women, because you have male listeners as well, I think it's about handling the force of that woman that you've chosen in your life. Yeah. And being sometimes also forgiving towards her if she brings that energy of boss and CEO into your relationship. And for me, it's really easy with Chris now. After 7 years of married life, he just tells me, he says, can you please like shut down your CEO side, because he says it's not very appealing. It's okay in a boardroom, like if we were having a team meeting and 5 people were together, then it would be silly or out of place for me to be that sweet girl that I am with him. Right. But that it is equally inappropriate when I am with him and I am this boss woman, right? So I think it's about what we teach in our work is how women can shift hats and learn to love both energies inside of them. So your masculine is as powerful and amazing as your feminine, but the high achieving woman is often more out of balance when it comes to her masculine, and she's very much out of touch with her feminine. And so we're looking to balance those energies and helping you to learn how to identify switching the energy as and when it's appropriate.
Yeah. It's almost like you have this code word. Honey, turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think women have it by it's so naturally. High achieving women just they're so used to being on the go that they're multitasking so many things, family, getting, supper ready, or that's why they want to go out, is because that's the last thing they want to think about is that one more thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I'm a mother as well. And I think in my work, I teach my clients that my husband doesn't shy away from, like right now at 7 o'clock, if I'm doing an interview, he's going to put the kid to bed, or he's going to, warm the soup. So I think when you learn how to have that healthy, happy, energetic balance in a relationship, there's no job that is too shameful for a man. There is no job that is too shameful for a woman. You support each other, you balance each other out, and that is the beauty of it. But it requires awareness, and it requires a willingness to make it work.
Yeah. And I think there's also that part that needs to be it's the true partnership versus, having that expectation that now that I've married you, or now that I'm dating you, that I'm going to call the shots kind of thing. And I think that I've heard a number of women talk about, I just want a partner. I don't want to feel like, I'm the one who's cooking and cleaning, and really going back to some very traditional values and beliefs that doesn't allow some of those high achieving women to expand into who they fully believe they need to be.
And I think there is a way out of that. So any woman who finds herself trapped in that kind of arrangement needs to ask herself where her inside boundaries are not strong enough. Because, for example, if my partner for an evening interview, if he told me that, sorry, but you have to put the kid to bed and you have to cook because it's evening, and if you have this interview, I don't care. I don't think such a partner would last very long in my case, right? So I think it's about being able to communicate your boundaries, and it's not just in the relationship. I believe it starts very early on, even in the dating process. Right? That the woman is not the only one standing and cooking. In my work anyway, dating like a diva doesn't involve women cooking to impress men. It's men cooking to impress women. It's the opposite dynamic. But I believe that dynamic sets in very early on, right from the dating phase, that a woman can show up a certain way within the first 3 months that is going to set the right expectations for the guys. Yeah. Right?
So what are 2 things that women can do to start creating those strong boundaries?
Number 1, I think I could say so much about this, but 2 things. Okay.
Sure. You can expand longer, but I thought there's probably several ways, but I'd take 2.
Yeah, good. So I think the first thing is have clarity on what works for you and what doesn't. I think so many people date without even knowing what they want. So in our work, when our clients come to us, we make them identify their deal breakers, their non-negotiables, and their minimum standards. And we say, by knowing this, you're not going to be wasting any more time on the wrong guys, because there could be a lot of good guys who are just not a fit for you, right? And there could be a lot of great women, but sometimes you will not be a fit for the guy that you're seeing, not because you're not great, but because you're just not a fit. So I think leading with clarity in dating is super important, because you can't express a boundary that you yourself don't know exists.
Mhm.
So, for example, what is your boundary? Some questions to think about. What is your boundary around sex? Right? I recommend at least holding out 3 months. Some amazing women sleep quickly with men because they think it's required of them. And if they don't do that, they lose the guy. And I tell my clients, if you lose the guy, he's better lost, right? Because a guy who's really into you is going to respect that boundary. I mean, sex is such an intimate thing, and it's totally okay if you like a woman that you're going to wait till she feels happy and comfortable opening herself this way with you, right? So what's your boundary around sex, and how would you implement that if you were not afraid of what the men thought? Yeah, who would you be, and how would you show up in dating if you were not afraid that you would be rejected, or you would not be afraid of losing the guys? Then number 2 is, what's your boundaries around money, right? Again, a hot topic in dating: who pays? So a lot of my clients say the guy should pay. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's okay. What I'm looking for is, personally for me, generosity, right? I'm not looking for a guy to out earn me. I'm not looking for a guy to sponsor every meal. But what I am looking for is an energy of generosity, where he would enjoy paying, he would like to provide, right? And I always ask women, so think about this beforehand, before you step out, what kind of person you would like. A guy who wants to go 50-50 is not a bad guy. He just may not be a match for what you want. And then again, it becomes important to define early on for yourself, what is it that you want? Boundaries around sexual flirting. So for me, that is a big no in my work. You know, if a guy starts off with, "Can we have phone sex?" and you've not even met him, or you've met him 1 time or 2 times, I'm like, ew, you know, that doesn't feel good. So anybody who does that kind of behavior is just like a total dropped like a hot potato in my work, right? But women need to figure this out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, they need to go on doing the inner work, as I call it, really doing answering for themselves the questions. So a quick exercise would be, look back at your last 5 to 6 dating experiences, or even relationships if you've been in those, and see what things didn't sit well with you.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't sit well with you is likely an area where a boundary needs to be drawn but has not been drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, for example, you didn't like the fact that your ex-husband had a lot of female friends that he used to go out alone having a beer with. So at least in your next relationship, you know how to express yourself, because you've been in that situation before, it didn't feel good, and you don't want that to happen again. So I always tell my clients, think of situations in the past that have made you unhappy, and see if they need you to create a stronger boundary for yourself in the future. And that's a really good exercise to do for yourself. Very practical, easy to do, and very insightful, yeah, in terms of understanding what is it that you really need.
Mm-hmm. So those boundaries are really important, and especially when breaking toxic relationship patterns, so that we don't lead to a place of some of that codependency. So can you tell us how people can, first of all, recognize some toxicity, as well as start breaking some of those patterns so that they can actually have the love in their relationship that they want?
Okay, so I'm not sure if I want a woman to repair a toxic relationship first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a broad term. As an expert, I always get a little shy about commenting on what is toxic, what is not toxic, because
True.
I think sometimes
everybody has their own belief, right?
I mean, and sometimes we are showing up as toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes the guy toxic, right? So I can give you some examples. My clients, at least my married and in relationship clients, because I serve both sets of women. Sometimes they'll come and say, he's a narcissist. I'm like, okay, wow, okay, that's a term that's used very often. I don't use it because it needs a clinical diagnosis, and I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm a love coach. But I'm like, okay, wow, let's investigate why he's a narcissist. Well, because he just thinks about himself. Okay, give me examples. Well, he likes to go still for his bike rides. He still likes to play his PlayStation. He doesn't care about my needs. He doesn't care about, what I want, he always wants to watch his TV. He doesn't let me watch my TV. And then when you just, there's a lot of generalized statements there, but when you really narrow it down, you start to see that actually nobody's a narcissist here, that the woman is really needing a lot of attention from the guy. She's not able to accept the fact that although he's married to her, he still needs his boy time or cave time, or he still may want to play PlayStation. And him playing PlayStation, unless he's doing it all night and it's in crazy amounts, him playing PlayStation for an hour and relaxing that way doesn't mean he's ignoring you, or doesn't mean he doesn't love you, even though that's what it may feel like to our systems, because we're interpreting the situation in that way, right? And then when we feel that neediness, we start to attack, we start to blame, we start to get toxic in the relationship, right? Now, if that is happening, I will help my clients learn how to communicate their feelings in a more respectful, non-blaming way within the relationship. Now, there could be also the opposite scenario where you have a man who is truly toxic, right? Mm-hmm. And in this case, he's going to be hyper controlling. He's going to tell you what to do, like what shoes to wear, what dress to wear, who to meet, where to go, when to eat. And he's going to be highly critical of everything that you're doing and saying. And no matter what you do, it never feels good enough. That scenario is a scenario where a lot of women come to us, and then we empower them to stand up for themselves, to say no.
Yeah.
And if nothing shifts, we ask them to leave. So we help them to leave, because the last thing I want is a woman working very hard to win such a guy and keep such a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Right? And it comes back to that self-worth piece, knowing absolutely. That they are worth it and deserving of a relationship that they feel empowered in.
And loved by, and a guy who loves them and is there for them. And I think a lot of the women who tolerate toxic relationships, they've never really experienced healthy role models, male role models, right? So if you had a dad who beat you up, dad who beat your mom, or dad who was always unemployed, never provided for the family, then you will just accept those things as normal in your relationship. So a lot of the times, those of us who don't have healthy role models in males, we don't even know that something better than this, it can exist, right? So we just take and run with whatever has been provided to you, right? And so what we don't do is we don't jolt a client system. Like, a woman can come to me, and it's very tempting for me to say, this guy doesn't deserve you, right? But there's an entire process for her to realize that. Yeah. And so as a coach, I'm going to meet her where she is, and then empower her over a period of weeks and months, so that she slowly, with baby steps, starts to find her voice, starts to find her strength, starts to feel good, starts to protect herself, protect her heart. And then gradually, she herself must come to the conclusion, this is not working for me. So I'm not going to be prescriptive and say, you should do this, you should let go, because I think it doesn't work. Because for that person, that pain is real, that relationship is real, that attachment is real. And so you have to respect the journey of her finding that decision within herself, because then she'll be able to execute it.
And that's a beautiful part of the coaching process, is that self-awareness must take place in order for someone to be motivated to make any changes. So it's very powerful. So we've come near the end of our interview, Sami. This has been incredible. I think we're going to have you come back on a second time because we didn't even touch on some of the other questions that I've actually have. But I have a couple questions that I want to ask you. What is one book that has been transformational in your life that really has made a difference in the way you view life, the actions you take, or even how you run your business?
I have so many favorites, but if I had to pick one, I would choose The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
It's been completely transformational in helping me find my inner peace and hold on to my inner peace while I was being a mother and building a very successful company.
Mm-hmm.
Because I realized that there were days when it was so challenging, the mind chatter, some negative comments online, team management, husband, kid crying. I was like, I'm gonna go mad. I just never feel good enough, or like I never feel I can get it right enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I came across his work and just understanding that there is the thing that is happening, and then there is your commentary in your head about the thing that is happening. And the commentary in your head is what is making you feel the pain. And so if you can just check this commentary in your head, then you can just be present to the situation and be here now. And it's probably not going to be that hard and not feel that bad. So that was really transformational for me, that book. It still is.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to have to grab a read of that. I've read some of his work a long time ago, and that's not one I've read yet. So my last question for you is, what does it mean to you to live rich from the inside out?
To live rich from the inside out. For me, I would say that always honoring myself has helped me create a very rich life from the inside out, because I know that every time I speak my truth, every time I honor myself, every time I honor my heart's real desires, I get rewarded for it immensely, right? Sometimes the reward comes through abundance in my life. Sometimes the reward comes through attracting the right people. Sometimes the reward comes through letting go of the wrong people. But I have noticed I always win when I honor myself. And so for me, a life where I am being a version of myself that I don't want to be, but I'm being that way because I want to attract something or win someone or get something, is actually a very poor life. A really rich life is where at the end of it, you can say, I did it my way.
Love it.
Like Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Sami, how can people stay in touch with you?
Yes, I would love for people to follow me on Instagram, Sami Wunder Coach. I have a very active community of women, 15,000 plus, on Facebook, on a group called Wunder Divas, WUNDER, Wunder Divas, where you can find me. And of course, if you type my name on Google, a lot is going to come up, SAMIWUNDER. So I'm on samiwunder.com.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the Millionaire Woman Show. It has been an incredible interview. There's so many more questions I could ask, just from question to question and learning more about the individuals you've worked with. But you have made some profound changes in people's lives, having people in committed relationships, not devaluing their worth, and really going after relationships that matter. So thank you so much for bringing your talents to the world and making a difference.
Thank you, Debra. I have really enjoyed this interview, and I think there's something the best out of people by the questions that you asked. So thank you for being an awesome host.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us here on the Millionaire Woman Show. We'd love for you to go over to iTunes or your favorite podcast player, subscribe, rate, and give us a high five. And we'd also like you to go over to www.debrakasowski.com, where you can get your free download 3-part video course right now of making habits stick, so you can focus with consistency and knock some of those goals that you dream of out of the park and make them your reality. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And on behalf of Sami and myself, Go out and make today great.